Hello, my name is Katherine O'Donnell and Slant, my first novel, I'm delighted to say, is shortlisted for the Kate O'Brien Award this year. So a little bit about Slant before I do a short reading. It tells the story of a woman called Ro McCarthy, and we meet her in 2015. She's in her late middle years, and to the mystification of her friends, she's out campaigning for a yes vote in the marriage equality referendum. In June 1990, John Kerrigan, Terry and I travelled down to join the Irish lesbian and gay organisation called ILGO. They were marching in New York and they were having its first outing at the Gay Pride Parade. And Terry actually seemed to like John. He was mature, she said. And the three of us tucked in behind the ILGO banner, and from the moment we set off down Fifth Avenue with a bland banner announcing ourselves as the Irish Lesbian and Gay Organisation, we started to attract an amazing reaction. There were exuberant shouts, cheers, whistles, ringing applause, well above the already loud decibels of the enthusiastic onlookers for gay pride. ILGO was causing quite a stir. Apparently, it was entirely surprising to New York that such an organisation existed, and people started jumping over the barriers to join. Are you Irish? Are you guys really Irish? My boyfriend's Irish. Sean, come here. These guys are really Irish. And lesbians who'd left Ireland in every decade since the 1940s were helped to clamber over the barriers, many of them weeping. They came with their girlfriends and friends and started to walk down the avenue with us. Oh, my grandparents are Irish. I can't believe this. My mom is from Cavan. She says I'm to say nothing to her family back home. Wait until I tell her this. Wait until she sees these photographs. It was a long parade route, and a number of the early 1980s exodus who joined in met men they had last seen in Bartley Duns or the Bailey or Le Chateau, on the docks of various Irish cities and towns, around Phoenix Park or the gym sauna. Friends who were caring for a guy who was in a wheelchair, undoubtedly with AIDS, followed ILGO for blocks and got the crowd to insist that they move the barriers to allow him enter the avenue and join. And as we continued down the long parade route, the cops finally began to assist in moving the barriers on the sidewalks, so there was a constant crush of those who wanted to come through. And ILGO became hundreds and hundreds strong. There must have been 1,000, almost in tears, by the time we reached the end, and it was the biggest gathering of Irish queers ever. Terry had sobbed most of her way down the avenue, and I held her hand, but I wasn't crying, I was grinning. This was a movement, a revolution. Now this turn had happened, the world had changed, and it was beautiful. ILGO applied to walk in the New York St. Patrick's Day Parade in 1991 because that would also be wonderful. But Terry couldn't believe how stupid the idea was. But I have to say I wasn't the only naive idiot who was surprised when ILGO was denied entry to join the parade with their organisational banner. However, one of the Manhattan branches of the Ancient Order of Hibernians invited ILGO to march with them behind its banner. And I wanted to swell the ranks of ILGO, so I got a bus from Boston to join them. Terry wouldn't go, and she begged me not to go. Someone's going to get killed, she kept saying. I got used to ignoring Terry by then, and I went anyway, and I didn't even feel guilty. In fact, I had to hide my exasperation when Terry kept saying, "Come, I don't want you to die." I knew it was going to be fine. New York's first African-American mayor, David Dinkins, was also going to march with the AOH group, which had included ILGO. So it was going to be important to be there. It was going to be a great day. And the parade was hell. Walking the long route down Fifth Avenue on that day was hell. The New York St. Patrick's Day Parade is deadly serious, and it remains the world's largest single ethnic celebration. It goes on for hours. Around 150,000 people march, and over 1 million onlookers are said to line the long parade route. It's televised live in all its martial tedium and has been annually rattling through Manhattan since the mid-18th century. And in 1991, I can tell you that New York St. Patrick's Day Parade generated hell. For hours the crowd screamed at Ilgo and they threw horseshit and pizza slices and beer cans at us, and they lobbed bananas at the mayor. AIDS, 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 they yelled in triumph. Shame, shame, shame was their furious curse of disgust. Mayor Dinkins, one-time mayor, they chanted not as a threat, but as a promise they were to see fulfilled. I couldn't tell if they were all drunk on beer or on hate. It was probably a potent cocktail of both. And they looked like my brothers. They looked like my sister, my cousins, my neighbours, my school friends. They were Irish, American Irish, but Irish nonetheless. They were young and old, male and female, and they jeered, swore, raged, mocked and screamed at us Irish queers. Go home, they screamed, as if the Irish queers' home was not shared with them. Go home, they yelled, as if anyone would ever have left home if it was not already a place where hope was a scarce commodity. I made myself smile and wave in that wrist-swirling, vaguely dismissive manner of the British royal family. It was the closest I could get to answering back. The worst moments were standing stopped at the intersections of the streets that sliced through the canyon walls of skyscrapers, where the funnel winds stripped what skin we had exposed. And it was in those moments, while we were standing still, that I couldn't help but notice the blanched faces of fellow queers among the screaming heads of the onlookers. One dyke walked for blocks, shadowing Algo's progress from the sidewalk. I caught glimpses of her every now and then. And how did I know she was lesbian? Well, us lesbians always recognise our own kind. That magic power is called gaydar. And twice I saw the pain in young sissy boys as they stood watching Algo surrounded by their family members. My gaze fell on a tomboy girl and we nodded to each other. Her mother gave a reactive thump and I tried to pretend I was nodding to somebody else. And afterwards, when it was all over, I took the bus back to Boston. I kept nodding, replaying that look of recognition with the young tomboy, nodding again in pretense towards her mother that it was someone else I recognised who stood further back in the crowd. All the other bus passengers seemed to be asleep, but my pale, nodding head haunted me, reflected in the beaded rain on the coach's window while the interstate traffic flashed by. Thank you.